Good morning to a moody morning here in the Sabi Sands. There's a bit of cloud cover rolling in. My name is Brent Smith. I have Dangerous Dave, the dimpled dish, on camera. And we have a very sweet pair of Warburg's eagles. A dark morph and a pale morph. And they're causing havoc in the local Franklin's life. You can hear the Franklin alarm calling. Now they're going to be eating as much as possible before their long flight, about 3,000 kilometers up Africa, to the Sahel region, mostly Senegal, Mali, Chad, Sudan, Ethiopia, that sort of top belt below the Sahara Desert, above the Congo Basin rainforests, in the West and Central and East African savannas. Wahlbergs are monogamous, and oh, look at that. A little bit of preening and cleaning. That is lovely. Being so gentle. I like the sideways heads. There we go. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Well, we're in the area where Hukumuri and Hosanna were last. We're going to see if we can find them. Now, Tristan's going to claim he had some skill in tracking this morning. However, we all know the truth. He just bumped into them while driving down the road. Let's go see what he bumped into.
Well, Brent Leo Smith, that might be the case, that they were on the road and that we didn't have to track very much, but your Hukumuri sighting yesterday was only thanks to us actually tracking him yesterday morning, so we'll just claim that one anyway. Now, it is a very good morning because, as you can see, we have the Nkuhuma Pride all over the road, which is very, very cool. And as Brent mentioned, my name is Tristan, and on camera I've got Sebastian this morning, which is very, very good, and Sebastian is full of the joys of life with a good morning. Now, we are live from South Africa. It is at least a break from the searing heat, and we have some clouds, and so hopefully it's going to be a good morning. It's already started in the best possible way. Lots and lots of kind of possibilities that are going on because the vultures are all flying towards the elephant carcass, and the Nkuhuma Pride have all popped their heads up to listen to something. So I don't know what happened, but all of them popped their heads up, and they are absolutely massive. I don't know where they've come from, but whatever they killed, it is big. They have eaten a lot. They are still covered in blood, a lot of them. They have got monstrous tummies as well. So I wonder if maybe our buffalo bull that gave us the stare down yesterday maybe got devoured, because it looks like they've come exactly from where I bumped into that buffalo bull on foot yesterday. And these guys, like I say, are as full can be. So they are monstrously full, but it is good. They needed it. And so it's always good when you see a fat happy Nkuhuma Pride, and it seems all 11 members are here at the moment. So we've got the 5 females and then the 6 sub-adults, and it's interesting because actually yesterday morning the Birminghams were back in this area, so we didn't have them on Djuma, but I believe that 2 of them were seen on Hoffman's just south of Gowrie Main with the Styx Pride, so they are around. Now look, you can see they're listening at the moment. It's because hyena is calling. So the hyenas are calling down near the elephant carcass, and a number of vultures that are flying that way, and it's made the whole pride sit up and listen to what's going on. Ultimately, with lions, when they hear hyenas, they know that sometimes something can be afoot and maybe they need to go and investigate. Also, because they've been on a kill, they might be a little bit more kind of nervous of what's going on. But now that I see some of them standing up, I don't think it was that buffalo that met its end, unless it was a small buffalo. It must have been something maybe like a large kudu or a wildebeest or zebra. That's what I would guess would have been what they got. Anyway, this lioness is up and she's sniffing about, and the rest of the pride's heads are up, and let's see, maybe they're going to go for a drink. We're right at Chelapan, and so I'm hoping that we're going to get a lineup of all of our lions drinking. But while we wait for them to do that, let's send you across to Tayla McCurdy, who is probably very happy about the clouds on her morning walk today.
So happy, Tristan, but I think I've been bragging about that all morning. Anyways, we've got a huge herd of impala out and about, and funneling up onto the open plains. I suspect it's because, well, of me. My name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is VM, and I don't think I've worked with VM since I've been back. You, hey? It's been a long time. Anyways, felt like I need to break out in song there. Right, for those of you that have never joined us on a live safari, we're on bushwalk, obviously. We're not driving around in a car. We'll be using our feet to be powering ourselves around the property. And initially we wanted to try and beat Tristan to the Nkuhumas. We failed. He found him before us. Now, Justin, I'm not sure what we're going to see today, and I haven't really got too many plans. Like I said, I was hoping that we'd get to the Nkuhumas. We're able to do that. We did hear one of the lionesses calling, though, from a distance, and we started marching on. But like I said, Tristan's in a car. He picked up those tracks, and he got them almost instantly. So well done there. I'm just trying to think. Maybe some elephants would be nice, Justin. I'm always up for elephants, except for the fact that, well, there's lots of breeding herds around at the moment, and they don't seem to be the happiest. And we don't want to get stuck in the middle. I feel like we're all getting stuck in between breeding herds. So we'll probably leave our route up to Rexon. I know he said something about Treehouse Dam, so we'll definitely be heading towards a Treehouse Dam at some point. It's a bit early just yet to see any insects. I mean, I think most of them would have been sort of hiding away. So as the day sort of warms up a little bit, we'll start checking some of these senna plants and seeing if we can see any butterfly species. Of course, we'll have a look under the wealth areas because they always provide. Anyway, somebody that's already provided animals to you this morning is Tristan. Let's go see if those lions are on their way to drink.
Not just yet. They're still in various stages of uncomfort is probably what I would say, is because of these big tummies. And they are probably in a situation where they don't really want to walk. But one lioness has walked off, and so some of the others are just having a little groom and just trying to kind of get themselves nice and clean. And they do this after a carcass or eating because they get covered in blood, and so it's good just to keep themselves clean and to make sure that they keep their coat in good condition. But amazing how big the sub-adults are getting. And talking about sort of sub-adults and the sort of makeup of the pride, Conrad, the young cub, unfortunately, we think is no longer with us anymore. We think, unfortunately, it has been either, well, in all likelihood, killed. And so either by hyena or the Avoca males. It disappeared around the time the Avoca males came in. And so we're not 100% sure who is responsible, but they were, well, the little cub has not been seen in almost 3 weeks. And so in a pride like this, if it hasn't been seen in 3 weeks, then you're probably a situation where it's no longer with us anymore, which is very, very sad. But it is bound to happen with these new males about and with lots of hyenas around and one little cub. And don't forget, it was this lioness's first litter, and it's often the case when these guys have their first litter that they're not as successful. You know, they learn a lot from when they lose their first litter, and so, you know, she'll bounce back and probably be ready to go into estrus already in the next probably 3 weeks or so. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with her, because she's going to cause a bit of an issue with the pride, because the rest of the pride will not want to go towards the Avoca males, but you never know. Maybe she does, but given that she would want to probably mate with all the males around here, and there she goes. She's actually just stood up now and is walking off, and you can see that her teats area is no longer producing milk. So it's this female on the far right that hopefully will come into shot fairly shortly. Ooh, I love it when they do that, when they walk and when they just flop down. No, it's fine, don't stress. So Seb's saying, sorry, it was on the wrong one, but that's the lioness we're talking about. You can see she's no longer producing milk at all, and the hair is starting to grow back, and so that little cub was still at the stage where it would have been suckling, which means that it is in all likelihood not here anymore. So she's no longer kind of having that milk production, and they stop that pretty quickly after they lose a cub. So Karen, in terms of the sub-adults, it's easy to tell how old they are because we know exactly when they were born. As for the females, well, it's plus minus in terms of how old they are, and you know, we don't know exactly because we haven't documented the Nkuhuma Pride that well for the past sort of 10 years, and so some of these lionesses we think were born around 2012, 2010, some of them, and that was a period when we weren't actually driving at Djuma, and so it's difficult to know exactly how old some the adults are, but we guess and we surmise at certain ages, given cubs that were born, and there's a lot of people that have really helped us with spot patterns and that, and to try to work out how old everybody is. But the sub-adults is really easy because we know their dates of birth, and we know when they were actually produced, so that makes life a lot easier. But you can see everybody is slowly but surely getting up and meandering off into the grass. I wonder if because they know the sun's getting up and that it's time to now actually go and find a shady thicket to go and lie down in before the sun does break through the clouds and really warm them up. And there goes our little boy. Look, he's starting to get his mane and his fluff around his chest and his head. So a little mohawk is going to start developing, and he's about as full as possibly could be, and I'm not surprised. He was full the other day, and it seems as though he really gets stuck in when it's carcass time, but getting big and looking strong. And it's amazing what a meal can do for a pride of lions. They go from looking like they're really struggling a little bit to this, where they're looking absolutely fantastic and full and healthy and back to their normal selves. It's incredible what one meal does to a pride of lions. It always amazes me how they can turn from being quite skinny and looking a little bit dire to looking absolute beast mode by eating a carcass. So very, very cool. And I didn't think we would actually get them moving too much this morning, but nice to see that they are starting to get up and kind of move. And I wonder where they're going to go. Maybe they're going to go down into the drainage line. So Magical, the cubs are pretty much only safe during a coalition takeover when they're able to hunt for themselves, which generally you'll find is over 2 years old. The thing is, though, is that females, unfortunately, if they're not ready to come into estrus yet, are often deemed as cubs from the previous litter and will then try and kind of be attacked. But it's obviously a difficult thing to kind of work out, because some little ones get away with, and it depends on the males, some little ones get away with a lot and others get away with nothing, and then the males kill them. So it depends on the coalition, depends on a number of different factors, but generally if they can make 2 years old, they can normally kind of hunt for themselves a little bit and be able to sort themselves out. I think the rest are going to get up and go. I'm trying to watch to see if they've gone to drink, but none of them are drinking. I think they've all dropped down into the riverbed and maybe towards the Mulawati drainage. It's two of the older females that are left at the moment, so we'll see if they're going to...
I think they're actually lying down.
Oh, they're lying down. Maybe there we go. They are lying down. So they've just moved off towards a thicket, that's all, and they've decided to plop themselves down on the edge of the pan instead. I'm sure we'll get them to drink at some... Well, not get them to drink, but I'm sure that we will get them drinking at some point. And this morning, when they're full like this, they often do require water, and so we might see them kind of going down for a bit of water a little bit later. It's going to be quite patient, but nice to see them anyway. Either way, it's a great start for our day. It is a cat day after all, and so we might as well start with the whole of the Nkuhuma Pride. Hello, girl. So Amber Eyes, that is looking and having a bit of a stare down the road. And funny enough, we're not very far at all from where Hosana and Hukumuri were having their little standoff yesterday. So we are pretty much, I would say, about 300 meters from that area. So hopefully Hosana got out of here. Now I see a whole bunch of impalas running in the background, and there were reports of wild dogs somewhere on Torchwood. So I wonder if maybe, just maybe, the dogs are going to arrive. Can you imagine the chaos that will ensue if dogs run past here? Lions and dogs are not at all friends. Anyway, we're going to sit with our pride a little longer. Obviously, we'll try and see what they get up to. I don't think they're going to get up to too much, given how full they are. But while we do that, let's send you across to Tayla, who's got something in the sand.
Look at the trail we are tracking today. I don't know if we're going to find this animal, VM. What do you think? Not a chance, I don't think. Never mind, there it is. Oh, look who we've got. It's a slug, which is, well, quite a nice surprise, because we've been seeing a whole bunch of African land snails at the moment, and, they've been going round and round and round. But here we have a slug that has been, well, on a journey for maybe 2 weeks now, and it's managed to almost cross the road. It's probably got about another 2 weeks to go before it gets there. Now, slugs are really quite cool, and we don't see them very often. And it's very vulnerable out in the open, and you know that there's lots and lots of different things out here that eat slugs. It also better be careful of the firefly larvae, because that is one of the favorite foods, is slugs and snails. You may hear a vehicle come past. Taxon's just going to go around us. That is so cool. And they're funny looking things. You got little tentacles too, with eyes on the end of them. And then the whole of their body will be called a foot, much like a snail. Now, even though you and I might not like slugs, especially if you're a gardener, because most of the slug species out there are herbivores and they like to eat vegetation, but they're very, very important to the environment. Very important. Just like the termites. They are responsible for, decomposing a lot of the vegetable matter. Let me show you how big it is. Rebecca, please, can you say the viewer's name again? I didn't quite hear it. I'm going to just show them how big it is in comparison to my hand. Oh, random. There we go, random. So it's actually not that big. No! Look, it keeps bringing itself away. Let me do this. Let me sneak up to it. It's tiny. It's so small. And it's not shriveling itself up. It's still on the go, as you can see. So I'm going to move my hand away. Did you see how it tried to hide itself? Now, it doesn't have a shell like a snail, so when a snail's frightened, it'll pull itself in there. But that sort of slimy enzyme that they secrete in order for them to move swiftly, they don't go anywhere swiftly, but smoothly across, the various substrates. I don't think it's very nice. It'd be quite distasteful, so I wouldn't eat a slug at all, I don't think. But very cool. Nice to see one out on the go. I suppose it is quite warm again. They are very much like the snails. They come out normally when there's a bit of moisture around, and not in cold temperatures. You won't see snails and slugs out and about. Do I move it? Do you think someone's going to drive over it, Vio? Do you think it'll be fine? Don't get eaten by a hornbill. Okay, bye. We'll say goodbye to the slug now. We'll carry on. Off it goes. So we're back on the road. We're just having a quick look for some tracks, because this is a good place. Ooh. Now, I was hoping that one was going to ask me this, because it's hard to answer this question. Crazy, I don't know how fast that slug is going. We learned today that moose can swim at 6 miles per hour, which is pretty fast. Or, as Rebecca says, lots. I didn't know you could use the word lots to describe how fast they go. Anyways, and I don't know. Anybody guess? It'll be like 0.0025 miles per hour. I don't know. I have no idea. Wouldn't that be a great guess, though, if I got that right? I have no idea how fast a slug can go. All I know is that it's not very quickly at all. It's quite slow. So we're making our way down towards Philemon's Dip now. We'll have a look. There's Rexon. Rexon's with us today as well. He's down up ahead. Just making sure everything's okay. Trying to spot the tracks before I squash them, because I don't know. And you never really concentrate when you're on bushwalk. Well, we're going to start looking for all the creepies and crawlies. It seems as though some of the insects are starting to get busy now that the sun is rising, and so are Tristan's lines.
Well, rising maybe not. They have risen and fallen already, so all of them have kind of found themselves a little place to nap, bar this oldest female is just grooming one of the little sub-adults, so she's just making sure that that little one is taken care of and that there's no little ticks on it or anything like that. Yet the rest of them are a carpet at this stage. They've all found themselves a nice place to sleep, bar one that's gone to actually drink, which is now, she's put me in the worst possible place because she's drinking the wrong way around. I thought that maybe we'd get the rest of them, and I'm pretty sure if I try and move, she's not going to stay that long. Let's just see. I was hoping that we'd get the whole pride drinking, because it's always amazing when you get to see lions as a unit all drinking together in a circle. It's amazing. Now, Melissa, you'll probably find that these guys would be ready to hunt already, well, this afternoon, if an opportunity presented itself. But realistically, I'm pretty sure they're just going to sleep most of the day today and into the evening, and that they'll only really start looking for food properly again tomorrow or tomorrow night. So, they digest quite quickly. Lions, you'll be surprised you come here this afternoon, while they'll still be roundish, they won't be nearly as full as what they are this morning, and so we'll have a situation where they'll be ready to kind of start going off and looking for food again by tomorrow morning as things go. Remember that they're very opportunistic, so any chance they get, they'll try and take it as quick as possible. But I wonder where they killed and what they killed, because, like I say, they're still covered in blood, so they must have killed somewhere close by here. Oh, look at that, isn't that awesome? This is a little lion pile. And no, eldest lioness says, nope, I'm not dealing with that. You can see her hip is still got a little hole in it, but it's gotten so much better. I say little now, I mean, it's still a serious gash. If we saw that for the first time today, we would be kind of astounded that she had this massive gash, but actually, that's very small in comparison to what she had a few months ago. It has healed remarkably well, considering. I'm just going to quickly get into a different position so we can see her drinking. It should be really nice if she just stays where she is. Seb, let's just try and get through here. There's the sort of rising sun and her drinking, which is a very pretty picture, that's for sure. So nice kind of sighting to have, and like I say, that hip of hers at least is looking very healthy as well. There's no sort of infections that we can see developed in there, and how she kept that clean and survived through this is pretty astounding. It just goes to show how insanely tough these lions, or wild animals in general, actually are. To recover from a wound like that is amazing. But now you can see perfectly from a side angle how they actually drink and how they're using surface tension to pull up water. It was quite nice that you could see the tongue just kind of hitting the surface of the water and just pulling slowly upwards, and that's how they kind of actually get the water that they need. They're not actually cupping water into their mouth or anything like that. And the hyenas are starting to call again at that elephant carcass, so they're making noise, and I'm sure pretty much all the lions will pop their head up just to listen. Whenever they hear hyenas, they generally do listen and make a lot of noise. And they have a situation where they'll try and kind of pick up the sounds that are around them just to make sure that they are not going to be ambushed by a big clan of hyenas. So when they call, they listen. Also, like I say, it could be an indication of a food source. But it seems as though these lions are not interested at all in that elephant. They doubt that they came from there. It looks like, from what I can see, that their tracks came from the northeast. So we found their tracks kind of on Twin Dams Road, and then they slowly but surely kind of meandered it, and then we found them pretty quickly after that. So it was, kind of, we bumped into them as we kind of found their tracks, so it looked like they came out of the Mulawati. Now my earpiece is stuck around. There we go. Otherwise I can't turn and talk to you guys. Now I'm going to have to just put ourselves into a different position, because otherwise we're not going to be able to see anything. So Siddharth, the females in this group, in terms of sisters, not all of them, no. So in the sub-adults, there's 3 different litters, and obviously there are sisters within those litters. There's only one boy in the sub-adults, so the rest of them are kind of spread between 3 different females. So some will have sisters, some won't. And then in terms of the adult lionesses, it seems as though, well, the youngest lioness, no, she doesn't have any of her sisters in this pride. Unfortunately, her sister was killed by the Birmingham males during the takeover. And then I'm not sure if any of the others are sisters, but there's 2 that are very similar age. So the lioness that's got the ridges down the sort of face, and the lioness that has the spotty nose. So those 2, or the one with the funny eye, those 2 are very close in age. And then you have a situation where you've got the eldest lioness as well, who's on her own. So not too many actually sisters in this pride, but a lot of kind of cousins, if you want to call it that, and they all kind of come together. Now, interestingly enough, it seems as though the pride has actually drank already at some point, so I'm sure that's why none of them have really come down. So it's a few tracks on the edge of the water. Good. While these guys groom and I reposition and get myself into a little bit of a better spot, let's send you back across to Brent, who's bumbling about.
Hello. Yes, we are bumbling with intent. I think it should be described as. So unfortunately, tracks of Hosanna and for Hokomori went south across Gary Main. I got a report of wild dogs. I got a report of wild dogs crossing into Torchwood, but very far from here. So I'm literally, well, I suppose what would you call it, hitting and hoping, wishful thinking and all that they might have cut towards this direction and come into Djuma. So we're checking the eastern boundary for wild dog tracks. Maybe they'll be here this afternoon. I hope they're here this morning though. Let's have a look. Now I think with the Hosanna Hokomori situation, Hosanna is a long way ahead, and it looks like from the tracks that Hokomori gave up following him and just went on his normal sort of boundary patrol. So where Hosanna is now, we have no idea. I know there are people following up on those tracks, so if I hear anything in my ear from the vehicles that are driving in that area, I will let you know immediately. But I'm quite comfortable that Hosanna escaped. No wild dog tracks yet. Let's keep moving. It is a beautiful morning, and I know this sounds terrible, but let's have a look at the sunrise. I was hoping that this cloud bank that was rolling in would get thicker and roll in for the afternoon, so that I would have some cloud cover for my afternoon bushwalk. However, I think it's going to break up and dissipate over the morning. It is creating some beautiful skies though. Now, of course, a lot of you will know that the African wild dog is my favorite animal. Juliana, they are not that closely related to the domestic dog. Oh, I've got a little tail. Let me just fix that. There we go. They split from the domestic dog, the same lineage, about 1.6 million years ago, so a long time. They've got an extra toe. Their dentition, their teeth are completely different. They've got far sharper cutting teeth than the domestic dog. So no, they're not closely related. They can't breed with domestic dogs at all. They even have a different scientific name. So most dogs, even the ones closely related to dogs, have the genus Canis. So Canis, where there is the African wild dog is a lichen or licon. If you are Sebastian Rombi from Gabon, licon, lichen, which is obviously wolf or wolf-like. Hence, if those of you who watch vampire and werewolf movies, the lichens, they're like wolf-like or wolves, licon. Now, a lot of people have the great misconception about wolves, but we will delve into wolves deeper if I can't find any dogs on this morning's drive. In the meantime, Madam McCurdy is looking for little creepy crawlies that might give you a nightmare or three.
Yes, Brenty, we are looking for little critty crawlies, I think you called them. But at the moment, we are looking at the beautiful, skyline. That was very pretty, don't you think? The clouds look very soft. There's many pastel colors in the sky today. It is stunning, except it's very humid. Now, yesterday the forecast said that we were supposed to get big thunderstorms. They're not here yet. Maybe it's building up for something else. It is very, very humid. It does feel like something's going to break. And I feel like rain is going to be the only thing that gets rid of the humidity. Now, let's have a look at what we found on the ground. And just in there, you can see we have a burrow of sorts. And from the very oval shape that you can see, to me, that suggests that it is a scorpion burrow. You can actually also see, look at all this here. This is all fresh. This has been kicked out of that burrow. Scorpions are relatively clean, and we'll push all that out. So I know that there's something living in there. And it's obviously one of the burrowing scorpions that don't necessarily have a venomous sting. Well, to you and I, they typically use their pincers as their primary defense and killing mechanisms. And they'll sit and wait in those burrows often and basically ambush their prey if anybody comes out or gets too close. But I reckon that scorpion probably would have gone back into its burrow by now, as the sun has come up, and most of them are nocturnal and are very, very busy then. I tried to have a look around it to see if we could see any scorpion tracks, but no, nothing. There's been lots of animals, lots of hippos and things, and big herd of impala have come through. At one point, looks like a vehicle has also driven over this way. So no luck there. So that was quite close to the road. Now, why we're walking along Philemon's cut line is I think it was the other afternoon, in fact, driving down Philemon's cut line back towards the dip, and I saw a massive web that had caught the sunset. And I just need to try and find out where it is again. It's somewhere on this tree line, but there's a big orbweb spider. Whether it's a golden orbweb or a garden orbweb, I'm not sure. But that's what we're going to be searching for next, is that spider. But now, we kind of need the sun to pop up from the set of clouds in order for us to be able to see it again. Otherwise, that spider web is going to be completely invisible. Hey, and I suppose that's what it's designed to do, is be invisible so that insects can get stuck on it. Well, we're going to keep waiting for the sun to rise. As I've said that, the golden light is starting to come through, making it easier to spot a spider's web. Tristan is staying put at the moment with the lions. Let's go see if they've perhaps gone down for a drink yet, or what? Are they just sleeping?
So no, Tayla, I think one or two went for a drink. The rest have decided that is it. They are not going to be doing very much for the rest of the day. As that sun is starting to break, I'm pretty sure it's going to start getting warm, and these guys are going to take the best possible nap that they can and try and digest all of this meat that they've put into their bellies. And so I think we're going to have a situation where our pride is going to be fairly stationary for the course of the morning. I don't think we're going to see very much from them at all. I think they've found themselves the spot for the day. They got up and moved towards the thickets, and now it's just about following the shade around as the shade kind of changes throughout the day. But it's good, like I say, really good to see them in this condition. As much as it's nice when they're active and they're moving, it's good when they actually get a meal and they look as healthy as they do once again. They were starting to look a little bit kind of on the skinny side, and Brent was saying a few days ago when he had them that, that they really needed a meal. So good news that the Nkuhuma Pride are well fed. You can see there's a couple little scrapes and cuts and kind of bruises on all of them at the moment. I'm pretty sure it's because they haven't been having much luck with things like buffalo, and so they've probably been killing a lot of smaller stuff, and that means that there will be a lot of fighting over things like impalas and maybe even small kudus and those kind of things. It'll cause a situation where these guys will have a bit of a go at each other on the carcass, and so a lot of those cuts around the face are generally to do with each other more than anything else. The lionesses themselves, they've all got a few cuts on them, but I think those were from the Avoca altercation that they had on the buffalo kill. Now, John Michael, sorry. You want to know what age will a lioness be the strength of a male? So I take it you mean a male lion, and the answer to that is never. Even as cubs, the male lions are bigger already. They start to get bigger and stronger much quicker than what the little lioness cubs would be, and so you'll have a situation where pretty much throughout their life they'll never be as strong as what the male lions are. Unfortunately, the males are just bigger and stronger, and if you basically taking a time frame where they're running at the same time frame. Obviously, if you have an adult female and a young male cub, there's obviously a strength difference, but there's no difference if they are all of the same age, that's for sure. But look at the size of that tummy that is as distended and as full and as fat as you could possibly ever think of. Ooh, these are going to be uncomfortable lions. If that sun does break and we have heat like we had yesterday, this pride is going to suffer today. They're going to be very hot cats by this afternoon. They'll be panting away. But isn't that cool? With the kind of belly out, as big as it is, they definitely are going to have a really good nap at some point. Well, not at some point, right now actually, and enjoy their sort of big tummies. But it's amazing how big their tummies actually get. Hello, girl. Yes, we're talking about you. Is it uncomfortable to have a big tummy? Seems like it. Lila, difficult to say. There will be some semblance of a hierarchy within the females. The thing is, though, is that because most of these females are quite older adults, they generally kind of spend some time on their own, and you'll find that sometimes there's 3 females that will split off with the sub-adults, and then amber eyes and the younger female often spend time together, and so it's difficult to say. But what we see that when the pride moves, generally amber eyes and the lioness with the kind of bit of a blind right eye, I don't know if it's blind, but that milky right eye, those two generally are up front and walking, and then following right at the back is normally the oldest lioness. Now, whether or not that indicates a sort of hierarchy within them, difficult to say, but they definitely kind of have more senior females that will kind of dictate where they walk and what they get up to. So, but it's an interesting one. Obviously, in males, it's a far more defined structure because they are trying to compete for mating and those kind of things. Whereas females, it's not that important for them to be dominant over the rest of the pride. As long as the pride works together and they find food together, then that's all okay. It's a situation where, you know, they don't have to fight for mating rights or anything like that. Shame. She looks very content, doesn't she, for now? But you can see that breathing rate is quite fast already. If you watch the piece of grass in front of her nose, bouncing up and down, you can work out she's taking quite big, deep breaths, and she's exhaling quite heavily already. And so you can imagine when that sun hits her, how she's going to be breathing. It'll be much, much faster, and you'll find her mouth will open because she'll have to start to try and practice panting to cool that body. Also, the system where she opens her legs like that in order to sleep is also helping with just her comfort. So she's kind of lying like that, so that full tummy is not being squashed into her lungs and into the rest of her sort of abdominal cavity. And also it just allows a little bit of a breeze to blow between the legs and over the tummy, which helps with all the heat that the body is producing, trying to digest that massive amount of protein that she's got in her. You can see lots of little flies buzzing around as well. Lying next to a pan like this in fairly dry conditions will dictate that you get a few flies around. They come and try and get the moisture from the edge of these water points, and if you've got lions that are still a bit covered in blood and those kind of things, flies are going to be a bit of a nightmare for them. And that poor female, can you imagine how irritating the flies have been for this wound period? How long has this wound been here? Actually, I can't even remember that when we first saw it. Was it August we first saw it? I think it was August maybe when we first saw it. So that's a long time ago. I mean, that's 7 months ago, basically, that she's had that. And look at the flies. You can see them all kind of crawling around. It must have driven her mad. Anyway, we'll, I think, probably sit with them for a little bit longer, see if anything happens, and then we'll probably carry on. But while we do that, let's send you across to Brent, who is still bumbling about, and hopefully those dogs will pop out for him at some point.
Sorry about that. You should have our audio back now. Hello. So, Tristan, we are bumbling with intent, not just bumbling. It is incredible how that lioness has survived what looks to be such a horrific wound. But it's amazing that animals have such resilience when it comes to things like that. Now, I'm a little bit sad. Unfortunately, there's no sign of wild dogs coming in. So we're going to carry on chatting about wolves. So I was just saying, one of the largest misconceptions about wolves is that they are man-eaters. They are not. I think there hasn't been a recorded case of a wolf on human attack for over 100 years. And it's a very unfortunate thing that a lot of people still have this idea that wolves are incredibly dangerous. They're not. Simple as that. So it is quite sad. Now, wolves for me are obviously very fascinating, and as I say, I absolutely adore wild dogs. They're my favorite animal, and I one day hope to see wolves somewhere, and I'd love to hear the howl, wouldn't you, Dov? I think David should give us a wolf howl. After me, okay. I'm just trying to think how to do this now. I think David should go first. No, apparently, okay. Okay. Who knows, maybe my wolf howl will attract a wild dog and come inspect. Ow! Oh, oh, oh! If you guys have heard a wolf howl, let me know. How am I doing? David, your turn. That's cheating! David's cupping his hands. He's cheating. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Wild dog. Different wild dogs. Okay. We're going to keep moving. There's a different pack of wild dogs. So there's one coming in from this side. Apparently there's wild dogs closer to our northwestern boundary. They're still quite far from the boundary, but I'm going to make myself available in that area. I'll just hang about, cruising for dogs. So if you have heard a wolf howl before, please let us know. How did David and I do? I think we might have to get McCurdy and Tristan to also give us a wolf howl to see how they did. I think there's bias. Because Cobalt said David won. Helena says not bad. Okay, well, we might have to practice, Dave, and see if we can get any better. I might have to bring up a wolf howl, listen to it, analyze it, and then give it my best shot. Now, one of the coolest things, speaking about wolves and dogs. Very interesting. Thank you, Jenny. If we had to do that near wolves, they would probably respond. That's really good to know. So when I'm ever in the northern climes and looking for wolves, I'll just howl, so they howl back at me. Could be quite funny. But so wild dogs have a various range of different calls, but when the pack gets separated, they have a woo call. And no, not a woo girl. Woo girls are things you want to avoid in life generally because they hurt your ears. But they have a woo call, and it's definitely not as loud as a woo girl call. Woo girls, for those of you who don't know, are found around bars on a Friday night near universities. But so a wild dog woo call is it sort of goes woo, 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 and it's a contact call. So if the pack has been hunting, they often get split up, and they'll do the same as hyenas. They'll put their mouth to the ground and use the ground as a big speaker to amplify the sound. So a very cool thing. So I don't know. I'm feeling canine today. I am feeling decidedly canine. Actually, I'm not even feeling canine. I'm feeling licon. I'm feeling dogs today. So the packs that start this morning will crop. So as I said, I'm gonna head towards the northwest of Djuma. Okay, so we're gonna now send you across to Tayla McCurdy to see if she can do a wolf howl for us.
Brent. I don't know if I can do a wolf howl. I'm worried that I'm going to scare everybody. Well, Tristan, let's see if you can hear me. Remember that one time I did a Tarzan call and James could hear me all the way from the tent? Shall we try a wolf call? Tristan, you better be listening. What does a wolf do again? Yeah? Oh, that one of those. I don't want to. It's like standing on the edge of the pool on a really tall, high diving board, and you know you're going, I don't want to go, and then you eventually just do it. That's me with anything at heights. Okay. Awoo! That's my wolf call. Not very good. That's why I'm not a wolf and I'm a human. Anyways, we didn't find our spider, however. Conrad, who's our technical genius, says it sounded like an ambulance. No, that's wee-ah, wee-wah, wee-wah. I don't also know. I don't think any ambulances make that noise. Well, now, not in the 21st century. Maybe a while ago. Anyways, I haven't found my spider, but I have found some very busy ants that seem to be moving down this little sort of crevice in this maruda tree. So they haven't created that, unlike the little sand pathways they make on the road. I wonder what they're going to do if they're collecting... Someone's carrying something. What is that? Was that an ant? I'm trying to see what it is. I don't know. 2 ants are carrying something. They might also be... Oh, here they're gathering. What are they doing? Maybe there's some sap coming out of the tree, perhaps? Although... that part of the bark, it looks like it's going to peel off, so I can't imagine any sap would be coming through there. No, they're all congregating to that one area. They're sort of coming from above and coming from below, but they all stop there to see what's going on. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but these little red ants have completely taken over this tree, looking... Excuse me. That was a sneeze. Everybody's been sneezing because of the hay fever at the moment. That everyone says that now sounded like a wolf howl. I feel like I need to redeem myself with this wolf howl, but I don't know how. Oh, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for take 2. Tayla 2.0 wolf call. Okay. I'm done now. People are gonna be like, they would sound like a werewolf. Okay, I wish I could turn into a werewolf. A wolf whistle. I can do a wolf. I can't do... So I've been trying to learn for my entire life how to do one of these whistles. You know, if anybody's got any techniques, #Safari Live on how I can actually do a proper wolf whistle. Otherwise, I can whistle really loudly with, well, just like this. So I'll say VM was walking down the street, you know. No, what would you do? Fresh out the shop. He's got his new shoes, his new jacket, looking, you know, fancy. And then I'd come out and I'd be like, hi, VM. No, I'm getting ridiculous. Let's go. It is sassy. VM is blushing. He's turned, he's gone a little bit pink in the cheeks. I can't actually see because he's got his beard growing. So yes, there we go. It is Sassy Saturday, everybody. So get your sass on. Well, it started here this morning. I'm just trying to find things. Right. I can't find anything over here. We're going to go to Treehouse Dam and have a look around and see if we can pick up on any tracks. These roads, which are normally littered with tracks in the morning, there's barely nothing except... not barely nothing, there's barely anything except Rexon's footprints and some elephant tracks and the termites and the ants have been busy, but that's really all. So we're going to go down towards the dam now. Off you go back to Tristan to see if he heard me whistling or making a wolf call.
Tayla, I heard you from miles away. It was a very good whistle. Perfect tone, perfect amplitude. It was very good. Well done. No, I'm joking. I didn't hear a single thing. All I heard was the heavy breathing of the Nkuhuma Pride and a hyena whooping. So the hyenas started whooping as Tayla was whistling. And so, unfortunately, I didn't hear anything from Tayla McCurdy from here. Also, Tayla, look out while you're walking in that area. I know that you are tracking Rexon, but you can also look out for tracks of David and myself as well, because we also walked on that road, so that will give you something to look for, and hopefully that will come out and there will be something else that you'll see down at Treehouse Dam. But as for Nkuhuma Pride, they are absolutely fast asleep. I highly doubt these guys are going to be doing anything for the rest of the day, and so I think we're going to take our leave and start probably moving off fairly shortly. Lexa, yes, it has happened, but generally with a big male lion or big female, when they swat at a cub, that they sometimes can cause enough damage to kill it. So there has been 1 or 2 cases where cubs have been killed on a carcass by family members, which is not ideal. but it's very rare that it happens. It's once in a blue moon, if you want to listen to the saying, although blue moons are more common than that happening. But it can happen when the carcass is going and a little cub gets in there and a male's there. Sometimes his tempers flare and that male just lashes out, and that then causes a bit of an issue. So, yeah. Now, Maureen, yes, it depends on where the lions are from. I find the lions that are from the United Kingdom have skin that's more prone to a bit of a burning, so they have to apply a lot more sun cream than their African. No, I'm joking. There is no, they don't get sunburnt. They have a big, thick fur coat, effectively, so their body is covered in hair that allows them to not have to worry about sun. It's more the reason they seek shade is more because of the heat management than it is because of the sun being directly on them. But no, they don't suffer from sunburn. They are not like us, and us kind of, when I say us, I mean even me in this, who have got light skin that tends to burn, and rather than kind of tan or anything like that. And so they unfortunately do not get sunburnt, or fortunately for them, it's much easier not to get sunburnt, because no one likes sunburn, do they? Say, do you like sunburn? No, it's very uncomfortable. I've had enough of it also in my life to know that it's not something you want at all. Right, I think that's it for us and the Nkuhuma Pride this morning. We might pop past a little bit later, but we're going to carry on. We're going to go see what else we can find, and while we do that, let's send you back across to Brent, who's still chasing those wild dogs.
Well, we're no longer bumbling, but we still have intent. So unfortunately, I can't seem to get hold of the guy on the radio who's got them to find out which direction those dogs are going. But if they've come in from Ottawa, they should be coming this way. Now, wolves and wild dogs, Paula, are not that closely related. Wild dog is far more closely related to a domestic dog or a jackal or a coyote or a dingo. Wild dogs split from the common ancestor that domestic dogs and wolves have about 1.6 million years ago. So they're not closely related at all. So I'm just listening. That's lions, sticks on little Gowrie. It's not what I want to hear about. I want to hear about dogs. Now, I did a little bit more research into wolf calls, and I think Dave and I sounded a bit more like coyotes than wolves that time. So apparently the wolf call is more drawn out. So it's sort of ow, rather than ow, ow, ow. Now, those of you who have dogs, I used to take great joy in getting our pack worked up as a kid. So we had 2 Jack Russells and 3 Boer Bull Crossbull Mastiffs. And if you started howling, you could get all of them going nuts. And they used to get very excited. And I used to get into trouble. Stop getting the dogs worked up! And because obviously they make a lot of noise when all of them are howling at the same time. I thought it was amazing, wonderful. Anyway, so it is quite fun to get dogs howling. See, there we go. Conrad. So I at least grew up on a farm or in the bush. So the only person I irritated with getting my dogs howling was my parents. However, Conrad said it was amazing. He used to do it in the suburbs. So I think the funny, I have done it in the suburbs at a friend's house before. So you get your dogs going, and then literally down the road, all the other dogs at everyone else's houses start howling as well. Very funny. Yeah. I'm going to try and get hold of my brother shortly to see if he can give me an update on the dogs. So, as I say, I'm moving quite steadily towards the northwestern corner, and then we'll go down the western boundary very, very slowly until I can actually get an update on exactly which direction those dogs are heading. I don't know, I'm feeling lucky. Dave, are you feeling lucky? Oh, yes, there we go. Now, I'm impressed Tayla did her wolf call. It seems like we still need Tristan to howl. But in the meantime, let's go across to Tayla, who's heading towards a waterhole.
Look at what we've got. Oh, I got a fright. I thought it was we've got a thread snake. Go, go, go. Terrified of us, as you can imagine. Why are you out here? Go, go, go. Look at it go. That was epic, eh? How cool was that, VM? That was amazing. The racing snake, says VM. It looked like a thread snake. I haven't seen one with those beautiful mottled white colours under its belly before. Now, oh, Rebecca, what you saying? I just heard a beep. Well, you're going to say something and then you took back what you were going to say. All I heard, Rebecca, was panicking. Oh my goodness! On the radio, don't worry, it's not going to bite us. I shouldn't know if it was maybe a blind snake, if it was a thread snake. Don't worry, Rebecca, I promise you this one can't hurt you. You can pick it up, it's so relaxed. Like, well, it's not relaxed, it's terrified, as you can imagine, when people walking towards you. And, it was almost went up VM's pants, though. At one point, I did have to pull it away from VM because it was trying to escape underneath his shoes. And then the next thing I was worried about, not that it's going to bite him, was that it was going to go up his pants and, well, up his trousers. We don't want that to be happening, so I did pull it back to stop it from going up. That would have been Can you imagine trying to do the shake to get the snake out? Terrible, terrifying. My mother would have had a heart attack if she saw me do that. But anyway, we've let it carry on with its day. Now, that was a thread snake, everybody. Basically, it's, I don't know how to describe it. It's more like a worm than anything. Even the feeling of it doesn't feel quite like a snake. And if I'm not mistaken, they'll be eating things like earthworms, maybe even slugs, small things, not anything hectic at all. I don't know which one that was, though. I haven't got my snake book with me, so I'll have to have a look when I get back. And you get the Shecknell's blind snake. I'm not sure which one it is. Could have either been a blind snake or a thread snake. I need to properly go and have a look when we're back at camp. I haven't seen one of those, like I said, with black, beautiful marble colours, and then white little blotches all over its belly. Again, very cool. A harmless one. Not one that even constricts its prey. Okay. What else have we got? Besides VM and I breaking into a horrible sweat, I can't tell you how hot it is. It's like hot like it was yesterday afternoon. Is there anything here? No? You've got to look closely, and then sometimes you see things. I'm actually surprised that there's nothing out just yet. We're still looking for caterpillars. Let me try this side. Let's try the silver cluster leaf. Or no. Hang on. What we got here? There's a little weevil. Look. There's lots of them on the wealth areas, actually. Or on this particular wealth area. There's lots and lots of these tiny little beetles. It does look like a type of a weevil of sort. Very cool. What else we got? The wealth areas are great. They're often a host species of a lot of different animals out here. Maybe even some little spiders that would want to catch a beetle like that. Let's have another look. We'll turn over some more leaves. Goodness, what is this tiny thing? Is that even anything? No, I don't think it is anything, Liam. I think it's just a piece of plant. No, still flowering though, very pretty. There'll be lots of little bees and flies and things. Oh, here's a thrip. It's very small though. See those tiny little black things moving around there? Those better to be seen under the microscope because they're tiny, tiny. Vim, can you see it? There by my thumb. That is a thrip, and they often live in the flowers. Oh my goodness! It tumbled out, and I'm sure there's a whole lot more. Here's another one. No, those are not. Yeah, look in those flowers. Can you see those little black things there? There they all are. They're a little bit terrified, so they're running away now, trying to get away from us. So this wealth area is completely invaded with thrips. They're tiny little things, crazy little things too. We'll try and get some under the microscope. It's hot. Now, as we walk around, one of the other reasons why we often come out onto the roads is to find snakes. And a random person. The other kinds of snakes that you see that typically are leaving the big tracks crossing the road. Puff adders, big pythons. We saw a python the other day really quickly in the Mulwati, which was quite nice. Worm slungs, which you typically find up in trees. Black mambas. You also find them down on the ground slithering along. Normally it's a quick sighting of those snakes. And what else have we got? What other snakes do we often see? I'm trying to think of the most common ones. Brown house snakes is one that lives in our woodpile at camp. They're my favorite ones. And then spotted bush snakes too. Anyways, let's go to Brent to see what his favorite snake is.
My favorite snake's a wild dog. So they are still quite far away from where we are at the moment, so I think we'll just have a check for Shidulu while we're in this area. My favorite snake is a rhinoceros viper, and even more specifically, a baby rhino viper. So rhino vipers, we don't get them here. They're in the Central African jungles. And actually, I'll find you a picture that I took of a rhinoceros viper a couple of years ago when living in said jungle. So they are the loudest hissing snake in the world, rhino vipers. That's pretty cool. Yep. Oh, sorry. So it's going to take me a while to find that. I'll do that next time. Now, so rhino vipers, the young have incredible coloration, which fades as they get older. So when they're little, they have this electric blue, electric green, just electric. They're an electric snake. Where are my non-electric binoculars? There they are. I just want to have a quick look. I thought I saw something move across the road. An impala. Oh dear. So often the wild dogs, when they are coming from the west, they cross in this little area we are here, from One-Eyed Pan. Now of course this is also Shidulu, or this whole Triple M section is where Shidulu tends to cross in. Wow, Maureen, that is a very interesting question, Maureen. Who is the better hunter, wolves or wild dogs? I would say they're both very effective hunters. The wild dogs have a higher success rate, and I think you could probably base that purely on the fact that wild dogs have much better access to prey species. And I say that because the African savannas, the biomass and biodiversity of animal species is much higher than the northern temperate forests or Arctic tundra. So there are lots of animals up in that area, but they're very seasonal and they move. So the wolves have to move with them, especially the caribou. And I would say wild dogs have more access to food more regularly in the area they live. So who's the better hunter? I don't know. It's a very good question. I'm just going to say wild dogs because they're my favorite. So wild dogs win. Okay, well, I'm really hoping that these dogs are going to come across, or at least start heading in our general direction. I'm going to try to find out about that. Let's go across to Tristan to see what he's up to.
Well, good luck, Brent. Hopefully they will come across. They sound like they're still a little far away, but you never know with dogs. They can cover distance in about 2 minutes and they'll be with us. So hopefully they do pop out and come onto our side. It's been so long since I've seen the dogs, and it would be nice if they are around on Djuma. Now, I'm just going very, very slowly on this road because We had squirrels alarm calling incessantly just now, and I'm just double checking. I know that Hosana, Tingana, Tandi, even Hukamuri have all been seen in this area before, and so it's a place where it's worth checking. The problem is the grass is so long. Can't see 5 meters into this area without kind of getting blocked by long grass. So if there is a cat that is around here, if it's not standing up, then I check.
Oh my goodness, sorry everybody about that. Hope everything's okay with either Tristan or Brent. I'm not sure who you were with. We just had a praying mantis and we tried to put it on camera, but it was very upset. And it was holding it looked like an alate. I don't know if it's from an ant or a termite. I was trying to eat it, but we decided to leave it alone. Now, seeing as though we're on the topic of snakes, we'll go back to the one we saw as well. A random person, how often do we have snake sightings? I've been lucky. I've had many. That was like the live, catching a snake live, that's the third one I've had this cycle, which is actually quite a few. However, I've been seeing lots of black mambas too, but they're just so quick, I haven't been able to get them on camera. So that's been quite cool. So we see more of their tracks, but we don't often see the snakes. Remember, they are exposed out on the roads. There's lots of things that want to eat them here. Obviously not necessarily the massive ones. They're alright, but anything that's the size of that. I think it was the Shekels blind snake, beaked blind snake, if I'm not mistaken. I just normally see them in plain black, sort of like a metallic black. But just when I was remembering the feeling of it as I pulled it away from VM's legs, yeah. I'm going to go with it being that one. Beautiful. Never seen one with that white sort of underbelly before. And so mottled and marbled. It was really, really stunning. So if that's the case, if it is, I will confirm when I get back home and I actually look in my book. If it was, they're not like the thread snakes. Those ones actually eat termites. And they've got that beak. I just didn't get a chance to have a look at it very well. As you can see, it was moving fairly quickly, and so I couldn't even see if it had the beak or not, but maybe some of you that had a sort of low down angle could see. But they'll use that to sort of burrow down into the ground, and they don't spend very much time above the ground either. Typically they are underneath the ground, but I will confirm it. That coloration was something that I've never seen before. Like I said, I normally see them just completely black. VM, how's your backwards walking going? Do you guys have to train like this? Rebecca and I used to do that at one point. We would run backwards uphill for training. So glad we don't do that anymore. Goodness, those were exhausting times. So what we're doing now is we're just making time and missioning quite quickly along the road. There's some more pans. Actually, that's where we're headed now. Let's cut off over here. And this area is not very nice. Especially when you're walking and talking and discussing sort of our routes and stuff like that. When you walk on some of these animal pathways where it's quite dense, you've got to keep completely quiet. And it is particularly thick here with the amount of buffalo that are around at the moment. This is a hot spot with all these little pans. But we'll go and have a little squiz around the pans. Hopefully there's not too much algae about, so that we can have a proper look. Brent is sitting very patiently waiting for the dogs to come out, and you know what? They could pop out at any second, and Brent has been dying to see them. Let's go and see where he is now.
Well, sitting, no, patient, always. Unfortunately, it sounds like they're heading south, so I'm trying to keep parallel with them, even though they're like 5 kilometers that way, hoping that they suddenly decide to come due north. And as I said, we're just having a look to see if Shadulu might have wandered back. I haven't checked this area. And Hukamuri the other day did a loop and came back in here. So you never know if you might find Hukamuri's tracks or Shadulu's tracks. But so far, it's pretty quiet. And we would have nearly done the whole outside of Djuma this morning. African hawk eagle. Let me just find it. Is he going to land? So I was hoping it was a leopard. Let's just see where he goes. Because I heard squirrels, birds alarming. Oh, it's sticking low, but there was an African hawk eagle. Ah! Question time. Questions for you. Yes, the nest, Dave. What bird made that nest? A very distinct, messy nest. Who can tell me what bird made that nest? Hashtag Safari Live. Time to get your nest knowledge on the go. So which bird made that nest? Hashtag Safari Live. I was hoping, as I was talking about Hukumuri, that he does these loops and comes back in. This is almost exactly where he crossed back in last time. And I suddenly heard the squirrels and birds all alarm calling. I was like, yes. Oh, I'm always happy to see African hawk eagles, but I was hoping it was a leopard. I'm not going to lie. Take nothing away from African hawk eagles. They are one of my favorite eagles. I can see it. Mine landed somewhere around here. It sort of flew in a loop. Okay. Ooh, quick on the typing this morning, Joy. Unfortunately, Joy, it is not a buffalo weaver. Let me get ready. Oh, I think I've got you guys for a bit here. Unfortunately, Puma, it is not a buffalo weaver. No, not a buffalo weaver. A fork-tailed drongo. Not a fork-tailed drongo. A hint for those of you who are watching yesterday's sunrise safari, we saw a female of this bird. Ah, very interesting, Stephen, but unfortunately not a forest weaver. Seems to be a trend here with the weavers. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? I'm pretty sure someone who will know exactly what that nest was if she had to look at it is Tayla, but she's not looking at nests, she's looking at pans.
We are looking at pans. We got to the one we were talking about. This is where Shongile and Hosana used to play around quite a bit. Now, you can all see that terrible green stuff that's forming on the water. Something I said we were going to chat about, but, well, we never quite touched on the subject. Unfortunately, as the rain disappears and the pans and dams start to dry out, often you get algae starting to develop on the surface of the water. And this is normally because there's too much nitrogen and too much phosphorus in the water, and then it forms these algae blooms. And they kind of take over, as you can see. This pan has been stirred up slightly. It's not a thick sort of slimy layer anymore. It probably because elephants have come through here, maybe had a bit of a mud bath, maybe even a buffalo, and then I think with all the rain that we've had too has topped the levels up. So it's sort of broken it apart, but what happens is it forms one thick layer over an entire pan, and this is really bad. It blocks out sunlight, so any plants that are living underneath the water, they're not able to, sort of get sunlight, and then they're going to die. It also deoxygenates the water. So things like fish also tend to die. Obviously frogs and things can move out of the water, so that's okay. But any animals that have got a larval stage that live under here will probably end up dying too. So it's not really a good thing. And then some mammal species can also get algae poisoning from this. So it's not great. So that's why we like it when when we get a bit of rain. Now, even though this is happening and it's not necessarily great drinking water, it's still the perfect combination of mud, slime, and, well, murky water for things like warthogs, for things like buffalo, hyenas, wild dogs. They're all, I'm going to go the scenic way around, to come and wallow. And that's exactly what's happened over here. They're not necessarily in those big pools over here, but these little mini jacuzzis that are starting to dry up is perfect for warthogs and specifically hyenas. And those are the two tracks we've got here. Let me try and go without falling. So if you look over here, these are sort of warthog tracks. And then look very carefully, just behind the warthog track is another track. And that is from a hyena. That was over here. Maybe coming to drink the water. They don't mind what kind of water they drink, but also in really, really hot days, you'll see them come and lay in the mud, especially if they've got a belly filled of elephant carcass. This would be a nice place to come and cool off. So, lots of things. So before it gets too hot, I think we shouldn't hang around the pans for too long, because we might get a grumpy buffalo come and join us. I always slip. I need to get shoes with proper grip. Who remembers this log? I do. Come look for him. It's a big water spider. Can you see it? That's a big one, hey? That is huge. That's one of the biggest water spiders I think I've ever seen. Now, we had the really cool sighting not so long ago, maybe last week sometime, or a week and a half ago, of a water spider catching a moth. That spider that we had, it was probably a third of the size of the spider. It is huge, absolutely massive. Now, something of this size could definitely catch a frog quite easily, so it's not just going to be feeding on tadpoles or any beetles and things. I reckon it's big enough to actually hold on to a small caco, which is a relatively small type of frog, and even any sort of developing frogs that have just gone from a tadpole and are about to lose their tail will be vulnerable to a big spider like this. And this is where you play the patience game, and I think it's got a good spot, bit of shade. Anything is going to be wanting to go and hide away from the sun underneath those blades of grass, and it's sort of using a bit of floating algae as well, I suppose camouflage and like a little flotation device. Not that it needs it, because again they use the water tension to move around on it, but it might not be able to. Look how it's pushing off. See, it's actually trying to stay. It's not trying to use its legs. It's pulling that algae. I think it's wanting to get a bigger piece. It's actually holding on with its cephalothorax. That was really cool. I just saw it move its cephalothorax down onto that algae as if it was holding it tight. I wonder if it's going to grip this piece that's coming towards it. See how the wind is just gently moving it around? And as I sit here, I'm starting to see a lot of insects coming up. Look at that. It's cleaning its pedipalps. That's so cool. That is amazing. I love the way it was moving around. Maureen, I don't know if these spiders can go underwater. I don't think there's any need for them to. They typically skim across the surface of the water, but they feed on things underneath the water. So they're almost ambushing their prey from above. So just like a kingfisher would sit on a perch and dive down to catch a fish, the spider is light enough and again uses the surface tension and doesn't actually need to go anywhere, so it can just sit above the water. So that bit of algae is actually helping it camouflage it, like I said, because if that spider sits on top of the water, the silhouette is going to be, well, an easy thing for fish, for frogs, tadpoles, all these different types of things to identify it. They will know that shape. They'll know that shape as a threat, and they won't want it. So by breaking up half of its body, being on the algae, it's probably going to look like something strange, and maybe even the fish and things will be quite curious and want to come up from underneath it, and then they can just sort of grab it as they sort of poke their heads above the surface of the water. That is amazing. Again, grasshoppers, butterflies, they're all going to be coming down to drink, and there's even a much smaller one just at your foot, in between by this grass. I don't know if you can see it. Straight, let me get it. You got it? No. Okay, let me show you. If you go, let me quickly just remove some of these things. Yeah. There, you got it. That's a much smaller one. That's about the size of the one that caught the moth the other day. Like I said, never in my life seen a water spider as large as that one, and there will be many of them around at the moment. Very cool. Anyways, I've got up onto this log because I'm pretty sure you all have screenshots of Hosanna and Shongile balancing around and running along this log. They often push one another into it, and I think they were trying to eat foam nest frogs off of this log at some point. Anyways, we're going to move away from the pan before a buffalo traps us here. We'll have to join him for a muddy jacuzzi. Off you go, back to Brent. I'm not sure where he is.
Okay, so I told you I was feeling lucky today. So no one had any update on wild dogs. Now apparently they're coming towards here, but they're still quite far away. And not only is there one pack of wild dogs coming from the west, from the west. There's now a pack of wild dogs heading south from the north. So it's difficult to decide where to go. But hopefully one of those packs is going to come onto Djuma. So it sounds like that pack in the north is quite small, only three dogs, and this pack is big. So I'm wandering down the road again, waiting for those dogs. And a very, very well done to Project Alpha. You are spot on. There we go. The red-headed weaver. And there we go. Non-breeding female or male looks like that. We saw a female yesterday. And because that is breeding time, so the males will have a red head. So we saw a female red-headed weaver on bushwalk yesterday. They are very pretty birds. Now, unlike a lot of weavers, they are not collective nesters or social nesters. So I'm just listening to the radio for a second. Okay. They're still quite far off, the dogs, but they are heading in this area at a rate of knots, which is good. So if they keep on their current trajectory, they're going to cross into Djuma about 2 kilometers up ahead. Okay, so we're going to just stay in this area and keep our fingers crossed that that pack of dogs comes across. In the meantime, let's see how this smelly elephant carcass is doing.
Well, the elephant carcass is smelly and is carcassy. It's as kind of broken down as it can be. It's slowly but surely disappearing from view, and it is starting to get into the more kind of nitty-gritty stuff in the forms of the feet, and so there is a bit of sort of vulture and hyena action that is happening on it at the moment, and it is a bit gory. So for those of you that are not kind of inclined to seeing blood and gore, now is probably not the time to be watching. It's maybe a good time to turn away a little bit, because the hyenas are starting to really climb into the sort of fatty parts of the feet, and it's not very pretty to look at all. But you'll find that these hyenas are going to finish this up. I would imagine probably, I would say another day, full day, is going to kind of be the last of the real proper meat, and then there'll just be little bits around, and you'll find the vultures will feed a little bit. They'll kind of eat as they go, and you'll find the hyenas will kind of come in and out as they have been over the course of the sort of last few days. But we're going to get a situation now where we're going to get very little in the way of lions or leopard. I doubt either one of them are going to come into this area. It's still a lot of kind of bones here and smell, but there really isn't much for lions or leopard. This carcass is a bit rotten for both of them. I don't think they would really be interested. But you can see the power that hyenas possess. It really is amazing. When you watch that one pull that leg is seriously heavy. We had to go and try and pick that up. We had struggled, but you can see that hyena's just ripping into it. And actually, one of the feet has been carried away down towards Twin Dams. We had 2 hyenas there nibbling on one of the feet that has been kind of completely, the whole foot. It almost looks like a massive kind of, I don't even know what, the foot itself and the toenails and everything have just been kind of carried down to a little pan, and they're busy feeding off it there, which is pretty insane. So, the hyenas are incredibly powerful, and they'll break this down pretty quickly, and they'll feed a lot this morning, and then I think it's going to be time to go and rest, and then you'll find that they'll come back this evening. Right, now I'm going to send you quickly across to Tayla, and I need to head to Shabam Road.
Okay. Whew. we just literally ran through the bush. Hukumuri was fighting with a warthog, and we could hear the sort of grunts and groans of the warthog struggling. I think the warthog did get away. We're now trying to figure out where Hukumuri is. So, Tristan, quickly, come here. Come to Shibamu Junction, Gari Main. Tristan is going to race in. Obviously, now that we've got an established sighting, VM, go straight to Rexon. Okay, we're going to wait here. Rex, you want us to stand by? Okay, Rexon says we must wait here. Rexon's going to go and have a quick look. We'll wait for him. We're now on the boundary. We don't know where he's gone. Remember, with warthogs and leopards, we mustn't forget how powerful a warthog actually is. I'm trying to figure out where exactly they were fighting. I think it was just around the corner. And Rexon's just going to have a look. He's asked us just to stand by and hang back. We actually just had Hukumuri's tracks. I also had a female leopard's tracks, and we were going. They're so fresh. At first I thought Rexon was telling us to move away, because he sort of did this motion and we were out in the open. So the first thing VM and I did is we just ducked behind all the trees and then started beelining towards Rexon. It was not too far ahead. Mother! I don't know if it's maybe Tristan though. I'm just getting Rexon's attention. So when we're in the bush, instead of shouting, "Hey, Rexon!" we will do whistles or or things like that, making those kinds of noises in order to get one another's attention, because obviously if we shout we give ourselves away, but a whistle could be a bird. It's not necessarily going to attract attention. I think this might be Tristan that we can hear racing, but we're just not sure. I'm trying to think. I think it is Tristan that we can hear. How exciting is this? Yes, it is. I see an aerial. Okay, that's good news. Obviously, we want Tristan to get in here as soon as possible. Look at that dust cloud. For all of you that say, "I Ferrari Safari," Tristan can do it just as well. Those Franklins are alarming, I'm pretty sure, because we were there. They gave us a big fright now. Rex is just having a little scratch around. Oh, there. He's going this way. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to move out of the sighting, because Hukumuri doesn't like people on foot, and we're going to go this way. We're going to let Tristan try and figure out where he is. Perhaps he's going to move and keep coming back onto Gari Main again. So they're just having a chat. Right. Tristan is just having a chat with Rexon at the moment. He's just quickly finding out. Rexon's reenacting the story about how Hukumuri was fighting with this warthog. Pretty incredible. Well, I'm going to send you across to Tristan now to see what he has to say.
Well, it's very, very exciting, isn't it? Not every day you come across a leopard fighting with a warthog. Well done, Tayla. Well done, everybody. But the problem is that they ran south and they've gone into Little Gowrie, and so we're not going to be able to see where he's gone right now. Maybe he'll come back in this direction, but probably not. And so I think that might be the last view that we have of him. But we'll try and kind of just maybe move forward a little bit. There's a little road that cuts down here that maybe, just maybe, he might come back on. We know that he likes to hunt warthogs. He goes round in circles, and so I just want to double check what's happening and just see if maybe, just maybe, he's going to come across. Rex said he just saw him bolting across the road in this direction, and so we're trying to just kind of figure it out. But amazing, isn't it? It just shows you that he's quite relentless when it comes to hunting. He's a cat that likes to hunt and chase warthogs around, and it seems as though he's starting to perfect the technique of keeping them busy. But whether or not we're going to see this cat anymore, I don't know. Like I said, you know, he was on the northern side and then he ran south into Little Gowrie, and probably because he was on foot, and they ran that way, or the warthog ran that way. It's either one. But Rex, they were fighting heavily. Now, I believe that I've got gremlins all over the place, so while I try and see if we can get a view of Hukumuri, let's send you back across to Brent and see what he's busy with.
Well, it's very, very exciting, isn't it? Not every day you come across a leopard fighting with a warthog. We know that he likes to hunt warthogs. He goes round in circles, and so we know that he likes to fight with this warthog. We just don't know where he is. Perhaps he's going to move and keep coming back onto Gari Main again. So I think that might be the last view that we have of him. But we're going to try and kind of just maybe move forward a little bit. There's a little road that cuts down here that maybe, just maybe, he might come back on. We know that he likes to hunt warthogs. He goes round in circles, and so we know that he likes to fight with this warthog. We just don't know where he is. Perhaps he's going to move and keep coming back onto Gari Main again. So I think that might be the last view that we have of him. But we're going to try and kind of just maybe move forward a little bit. There's a little road that cuts down here that maybe, just maybe, he might come back on. We know that he likes to hunt wart
Wow! That sounds like you guys had an amazing time over there. We're still playing the patience game, waiting to hear about the wild dogs coming across. But I did promise you I would show you a picture of my favorite snake. And it is particularly a baby rhinoceros viper. And look at those colors, aren't they incredible? And you can see the nose horn that they get their name from. But they are absolutely stunning snakes. They get very big, but as they get bigger, they lose this incredible coloration that they have. Okay, Hukumuri chasing warthog. Now we want wild dogs. Just listening now, and I'm trying to listen between the two different sets of dogs. Sounds like a third pack of dogs on the Manuleti boundary. Why are we surrounded by them and they won't come see me? I don't understand. Conrad says it's because of our howls that they're staying away or coming, I don't know. Come on. Dogs there, dogs there, dogs there. Next thing you know, there are going to be dogs behind us. Maybe I should do a bit of, oh, don't run away, don't run away. It's running away, David. It's running away. There was a gecko on the dead tree. It just went round the back. Come on, come back. You see that little knot? A little bit down. A little bit to the right. That one there. He went behind there. Oh, he's gone. It's very, very much a retired marula tree. Now, you can see the marula tree's been bleached by the sun. However, Chris, I don't think the rhino vipers lose their color because of the sun. They see very little sunshine in their life as they live under that complete canopy in the rainforest. Binoculars. Where do my binoculars go? There they are. Let's have a look down the road in hope. It's looking quite empty, Dave. I can hear an oriole calling. Let's see if we can find the oriole. Let's move forward a bit. Okay, I'm going to try find the oriole amongst the canopy of the tree. Let's quickly go across to Tristan.
Well, not much that is happening at the moment. We're just sitting tight, just trying to see if we can hear anything or see anything that might potentially pop back out onto the southern boundary. But so far, nothing. I heard a squirrel alarm calling to our south in the direction that he was running, and so I don't know if maybe he's continued to go further south or what the situation is. And I also not really sure if the warthog was still around or what was going on. But Rex was telling me that it was just this massive fight between these two right on the fire break here. So it seems as though maybe the warthog went southwards and so did the leopard in tow, and so I don't know if we're going to get him coming back. I'm just sitting impatiently, kind of in case we can hear anything. You never know, maybe that warthog bursts back this way and he comes trotting back after it. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Who knows? I don't know. But amazing that they guys got to see it on foot. It's not something you see every day, and it's an incredible kind of thing to witness when you got sort of leopards chasing warthogs on any situation. So I'm just trying to tell Peter where to go. So Peter is coming to investigate from the southern side, which is going to help us because he'll be able to tell us if he finds them where exactly he has gone and what exactly is going on. So pretty insane though. We'll have to just kind of keep an ear out and see what goes on. Maybe it's worth just doing a few little loops around this area in the meantime and try and check out what's going on. And so while I do that, let's send you back across to Brent and see whether he managed to find his Oriole.
It flew further away, deeper into Arathusa. You can hear the call though quite distinctly. I do have some alarming dwarf mongoose as well. We're in the same area where that African hawk eagle was a little bit earlier. Mongoose are still complaining, but I'm hoping they're on that little termite mound there. Let's have a quick squiz. No, it doesn't look like they're there. You can hear them. I thought they might be hiding in that termite mound, but it sounds like they're actually in the long grass below it. And long grass and seeing dwarf mongooses don't go well together. Oh, just listening again to the radio quickly. Okay, while I listen to try to figure out what the dogs are up to, let's go across to Tayla.
Right. We're still trying to catch our breath. VM has said to me this is possibly the hottest bushwalk he's ever been on. It's warm. It's not a nice day for a bushwalk, but we'll survive. We might have to drink some water. I actually forgot we can drink water on bushwalk. Have you also forgotten about that? I don't know why we haven't. The water station, VM says. Yes, so that's around the next bend where you have to run past there and then they hold out packets of water. Anyways, we're just on the fire break because we're trying to get to that tree where we once saw an African fish eagle feasting on a terrapin. I want to see if the shell is still there. I don't know why I did that. Anyways, here's a hyena track. And you can see I'm just going to move my shadow out of the way. There's the back of the pads and it's going this way. And the hyena was definitely on the move. I suspect coming from the Carcass, which is down that end, and probably heading on home. And that's maybe why we've got all those hyena tracks back at those pans, all stopping off at different areas for a drink of water, which we will do in a little bit as well. Very busy. Now, we're trying to move out of this area where Hukumuri was, and the reason for that is we don't want to scare Hukumuri, because you know he doesn't really like people on foot. So we're asking Rexon what happened with that sighting, and basically he said what had happened was that as he stepped out onto the road, he thinks we may have accidentally flushed that warthog out, which is of course a possibility. We can't see all the animals that are, well, in the bushes. Maybe he was on his way to that wallow where we were, and all we could hear was this like a grunting sound, and it must have been that warthog standing there face to face with Hukumuri, trying to fight him, trying to go, you're not strong enough to get me. And apparently it was a big boar too, and a big warthog boar can weigh up to 100 kilograms. So like, I don't know, it's a lot, a massive thing. And I mean, Hukumuri probably weighs only about 80 kilos, somewhere around there. And they were having a bit of a standoff, and then Hukumuri didn't quite know what to do, and the warthog bolted one way, and then Hukumuri ran on after it into a little gari. So hopefully he comes back out this side again. That'll be quite nice. They're seeing lots of... Oh, it's still Tristan. Tristan's still there. I'm pretty sure we were off of that big marula tree was just off of the fire break, and indeed on Zoe's road, but we'll check. It was amazing. That branch was like this wide. It was perfect for that eagle to sit on. Now, This is a live safari. Obviously, I'm not in a vehicle. I'm on bushwalk. So the Saints live? Yes, this is live. This is most certainly happening right now. I don't even know what the time is because I'm not wearing a watch. And, well, let me check with the sun, but VM has already told me. What is the time? 28. He looks on his camera, and then hopefully he was going to mime it to me emails and tell you some big story on how I can tell the time with the sun. But you can indeed. I'm just not going to do it. So there we go. So it's 7:45 Central African time here on this bushwalk. I'm listening. See if I can hear any alarm calls. I thought I heard something. No, you know what it is? It's Tristan talking to Rexon up ahead. Okay, not very busy in terms of insect life today, I'm afraid. Again, this is an area that we don't like to walk in, because as you can see, the grass is not so thick here, but it goes well past my chest going in there, and that's where you don't want to walk. Now, the insects that I'm looking for, a lot of them are actually toxic in some form or another. And Rebecca, because my adrenaline is pumping through my body, you know what I'm going to say, that I've forgotten who was asking about the poisonous insects. Sinatra, there we go. There we go. So, yes, Sinatra, we do have toxic and poisonous insects. My goodness, some of them release very, very foul chemicals that burn your skin and form blisters, like the CMR beetle or the blister beetle. Some of the netwing beetles as well. Even as a common millipede contains cyanide in it. And that's what we're looking for, to stand out on the leaves, on the bits of grass, bright oranges, blacks, reds, dramatic sort of colors, so black and white. These are all sort of aposematic coloration, and that basically tells you that, well, I'm toxic, leave me alone, don't eat me. And birds and other things that eat insects will learn these colors and know to keep away from them. But then you also get some insects that like to mimic, and over time have evolved to mimic some of the poisonous creatures, so that basically when they mimic, is they're just mimicking the coloration, which is pretty cool. So going through grass like this, I mean, we should see netwing beetles, grass bugs, assassin bugs, but it doesn't look like we're winning today. I don't know if the hornbills have eaten them all. They've been eating lots. All the lilac-breasted rollers are pretty good at devouring the insect population. That's another thing, why insects are so successful. But we'll get into that in a minute. Apparently Rebecca thought that Tristan saw a horse, so let's go and see Tristan. Stop horsing around.
It's not me. I've done nothing. All I did is spot a wildebeest, and I got told there's a horse in my frame. I don't know what's happening with Rebecca. I think Rebecca's, who's got a very sore wrist at the moment, has maybe taken too many painkillers and is seeing something that is not there. But our lonely male wildebeest that always hangs around here on Zoe's Philemon's junction, he's always around by himself. And he's today got some friends, though. Now, I wonder if these are some of the warthogs that Hukamuri chased, because we're not very far from where that all took place. But these guys look super chilled, so I don't think it's them. And apparently he is continued to go further south into Hoffman's, and is just kind of mobile down that way. So he's, I don't think, going to come back onto our side. I'm just listening in case he does turn sort of northwest. You never know with him. He kind of does loops all over the place, but it sounds like he is going further and further away from where we are. But these warthogs are probably some of the most relaxed warthogs I've seen in a very long time. You can see they're going to have a little nap in the shade. Isn't that cool? Normally we have the tail end of warthogs running away, but these two have decided, nope, we found ourselves some shade, and this poor wildebeest was actually lying in that shade when we first arrived, and the warthogs are now seizing the opportunity, because the wildebeest kind of stood up as the vehicle was rolling forward, that they're going to now seize the shade and take it as their own. And so the three of them have kind of found themselves a spot. That one's not convinced. The other two are there sleeping. This third one is seriously unconvinced by this whole situation, and is probably thinking to itself, why are you guys lying down? This is a silly idea. There is a big vehicle there that is very, very loud and dangerous, and so we mustn't lie down. But maybe it'll get roped in eventually. It's 2 against 1 at this stage. Now, I believe a lot of you are telling Rebecca that Specsavers is a destination that she needs to head to. And, well, Rebecca, maybe it is not a bad call. I don't know. It's definitely not a horse. And Rebecca, maybe when she goes to go and have her x-ray on her wrist, can maybe bypass through Specsavers. She's telling me now that she has 20/20 vision, apparently. It's Rebecca, you're not helping yourself here, because if you had 20/20 vision, seeing a horse in the Sabi Sands is just not going to happen. There's no horses here, and so it's unfortunate that you're going to have to maybe just get that 20/20 vision checked. Maybe the last one that did your eye test was lying to you. They didn't have the heart to tell you that your eyes have deteriorated. Maybe that's what's happened. Who knows? Anyway, warthogs are relaxed, wildebeest is relaxed, chaos of the leopard is gone, and so I think we're going to meander our way back towards the carcass, to those feeding hyenas, as we kind of left that in a bit of a hurry, given that we were... Tayla just told us to come quick, so we came quick, and we got there really nice and quickly, and so, we'll go back towards the carcass. Yes, we did, Rebecca, and we got ourselves very, very close, but it was close at least, and you never know, maybe he does come back. Good, now we're going to head off towards the carcass, like I said. While we do that, let's go back to Brent and find out whether he's had any luck with those wild dogs.
So it sounds like our best chance of dogs were the dogs coming from the north. So we've shot all the way to the boundary where we were a bit earlier. They've lost them somewhere just in an area called Rubbing Post, and they were heading south towards Timberti Dam, which is over that rise there. So I'm heading in that direction. So guys who watch the dam cam, please keep an eye on me. It's not far from... Oh, wait, hang on. They've got the wild dogs. Where? Oh. They changed direction. They went north. Okay. Back to the other boundary for the other wild dogs. They are not playing along, the puppies, this morning. Oh dear. Well, that's what happens. Wait, I'm just going to see which direction they're going. They're far away now. Kruger said, probably about 3 kilometers that way. Deary me. Okay, let's head for the other dogs. I just don't know which pack is which at the moment. And see if I can get an update on the other dogs from my little brother. I was so excited. I was like, they've lost them heading south right near our boundary. I'm coming. Oh, they're gone. Anyway, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So my Easter egg hunt is a Easter dog hunt rather than an egg hunt. Well, oh well. So I'm hoping that those dogs are going to come across from the west now. I'm going to leave the northern boundary while I rush off to the other side. Let's go see what Tayla after next.
Still nothing. We're just trying to get from point A to B. I don't think my marula tree that I was looking for was here, unfortunately. I think it might have been further down towards Twin Dams, in fact, but we're not going to go there because there's obviously lots of hyenas and things. So we're trying to find things along the way. Oh, this is quite cool. Most of you know what this is. It's not a skull. It is a nut from a marula fruit. And if you look very carefully, can you see that little spider web there, Bia? And that's so cool. Looks like a little funnel web. Spider of sorts has decided to live and make use this marula nut. Now, I'm not disturbing it in any way because, well, it's inside there, so I'm not damaging its home. So I'll put it back on the ground where I found it. And hopefully the squirrels don't come and pick it up. Now, normally what the squirrels will come and do is they'll try and get those little nuts out from inside, but they've already been taken out. This looks like a very, very old one. And, well, it's no use anymore, other than for a little spider making its home. Good luck. Ooh. Now, a tree that I'm very familiar with seeing, is that Rexon or is that an elephant? Oh, it's the birds in the tree. Sorry, we could hear branches moving around. I'm sure there's some African green pigeons or something fluttering around in the brown ivory. A tree that I'm familiar with seeing is a blue gum tree. We used to get them lots down in the Eastern Cape, unfortunately an invasive species from Australia. And Jacqueline, I had not seen a blue gum tree out here. There are very few invasive plant species here. There are a couple. There's the zinnias. Sometimes we see a bit of prickly pear popping up every now and then. Some of the senna species are not supposed to be here, but they typically do try and remove them. And there's a couple of other smaller sort of flowers that were brought in as ornamentals. They're just very pretty and nice, and they've found their way. Sometimes you see bougainvilleas as well around all the old farmhouses. You'll see them around. They don't belong here too. But they're typically quite good in this area at removing all the invasive plant species. But if you go down to the coastline of South Africa, all the way from the east coast down to the southern tip and back up to the western coast, you will see lots of things like blue gums. Typically Port Elizabeth is a big culprit, where I used to live. In this one area, basically the streets were sort of lined, very narrow roads, sort of a horsey community, very narrow roads with massive big blue gum trees sort of lining the way. And there was one big blue gum that was actually planted on one of the reserves, or the reserve I first started working at, and we helped build a lodge down there. And they bought this new land, and they let it sort of re-establish itself for 7 years. It was a dairy farm, essentially, and obviously that's not great. Big open plains, which aren't natural down in the Eastern Cape. And basically, so they all the vegetation come through, and they let this big gum tree sort of just stand there, and they said, what do we do with it? It was massive. I think the trunk must have been about the width of this road, quite easily. So what's this? Almost 2 meters, probably about 1.8 meters or so. It was massive, the circumference of the trunk, and I can't tell you how tall it was. It was planted apparently 150 years prior to that. It was planted when the house was first built, and this was an old dilapidated farmhouse. They have all the documents, so this is how they know this. And there was a story written about this tree and how they planted it. Well, I think they brought it in as a sapling and they let it grow. Anyways, because it's an invasive species, they made the decision to cut it down, which was a huge thing, to try and cut down this big tree. And they thought, we can't just get rid of it like that. So what they did with it is they made this massive table, and I think I've told you about the table, I kid you not, for the wine cellar. I'm going to go this way. This table must have been about this long. Maybe about 8 meters or so in length. It took 19 people to carry that table in. It was heavy. I didn't partake. I stood and watched, as I was definitely not strong enough to lift it. So even though they had to cut down that big beautiful tree, it wasn't supposed to be there, but there's so much history to it that they couldn't just get rid of it. So now it's a part of the lodge forever. I might even have the video on my computer, which I can try and dig up and show you. It was incredible to watch that. They made something else. I think they made some stools as well for around the fire. So yeah, it's quite cool that that old tree is still a part of the lodge. But none here, Jacqueline. That was a long story. Right. Let's see. VM, I want to find an insect. I would like to find a tick. Shall we see if we can find a tick? Do you think all the ticks are boiled? It's too hot. Now, for those of you that understood that, please feel free to translate. What I was trying to say for the rest of the population of people that can speak English, I don't know what language I just made up there, ticks will typically sit on the edge of a road like this, or on an animal pathway on the blades of grass along here. So you've got to look very carefully, and you'll see them sitting quite high up on the stem. Hang on, what's this? Okay, I'm going to take it because it looks like it's already been opened. It looks like it was... I think there are tiny little spiders in there. Can you see that? They're not alive anymore. Maybe they're exoskeletons. There's sort of some cream things. So this was the sack of a spider, I'm assuming. Can you see what's in there, Bea? Little exoskeletons. Let me have a look. Yeah, I think it is. Of little spiders. Sorry, my hands are very dirty because I've been digging in the sand, as you can imagine you do on a bushwalk. And that's all that's left of it. I wonder what spider this was from. Just the outer casing of that egg sac. Very cool. As you can see. Warm. Okay. We're going to keep looking for ticks that could potentially be on the edge of the road or on an animal pathway. Hopefully they won't attach themselves to us. Off you go, and I think I can actually hear Tristan driving down Gari Main. That's not him, that's a normal vehicle, but I know he's on his way back to that elephant carcass.
Nope, Tayla, you guessed right, it's not me. I am all the way back at Weaver's Nest, and I'm on my way back towards the carcass. Hopefully our hyenas will still be there, hopefully some vultures will be around, pecking away and just reducing that elephant carcass to bones. But before we get there, I thought we might as well stop here quickly at Janet Jackson's villa and see what she's up to, or he's up to. He, one and the same. It's difficult to know which one it is at this stage. But let's have a look. It will be a quick view if it is a view. Don't see anything. Let's get a spotlight out and just have a little bit of a look. Sometimes you don't see anything until you use the spotlight, but it doesn't look like anything that I can see today. No, nothing there. See anything, Seb? No. It just moved up, unfortunately. So I just saw the tip of the tail disappearing up the branch and going out from that area. So unfortunately, Janet Jackson is being shy today, not in the mood to show us her little face or his little face. Like I say, we're not sure if it's a him or a her. Good, but let's head back down towards the carcass. That's hopefully, like I say, nothing is too disturbed after I left there, and that they're all still kind of feeding around. Hyenas, I'm sure, are getting to the point where they're getting so saturated that they're probably not going to be there too much longer for the day, that is. They'll come again tonight, but just for the day itself. And hopefully Wendy behaves herself and doesn't lose signal as we go into that area, because Wendy sometimes loses a bit of signal. So we're going to just bypass these guys and say good morning quickly. Morning, everybody. How you doing? So chitty chatty Meg, going here without being ill. I don't know. It's funny. It's not. I actually don't mind it that much. I mean, it smells and it's not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world, and you get used to it. Funny enough, you just sit there. The first 10-15 minutes are horrific, and then after you've been there for that long, you actually just stop really smelling it. I think you just kind of get used to the smell, and that's why. But it's not easy. Some people just can't do it. Some people just don't have a strong enough stomach for it, and it's not that they are weak in any way. It's just that that smell catches them in the back of the throat and makes them feel a little nauseous. For me, I don't really mind it. It doesn't bother me that much. I've smelt a few of them in my time, and also if you think of some people have an aversion to certain smells, and so it's just the way it goes. I know Conrad in our tech room was worried about it, and at first did not want to smell this elephant at all, and now after a few days of actually spending time at the carcass, he's actually alright with it, and he doesn't actually mind it too much. So just goes to show you can get used to it after all, but it does stink a little bit, and it's not very pleasant at all. Anyway, let's kind of meander towards the carcass. While we do that, Brent has got some little carnivores that he wants to show you.
Little indeed, the smallest member of the order Carnivora. Little dwarf mongoose. They are very, very sweet. Oh, they're all very, very gone. Oh, there's one coming back. Hello, little one. This is not one of our normal businesses of mongoose that we spend time with, so they're not as relaxed as some of them. So they're quite far off from where we are. Hello, you. Now, I'm still hoping and holding out hope beyond hope that the dogs that are coming from the west head in our general direction. A definite larger member of the order Carnivora. Chup chup. They are fascinating little creatures, and their relationship with the hornbills is also amazing. The hornbills are there, just can't see them. They're flapping about behind, to the left slightly over there. In that big tree there's a couple of hornbills behind the light green bush, but I can't really see them properly. You can just see the movement a little bit down to the right there somewhere. So that symbiotic relationship that they have with the hornbills is also incredible. The hornbills will follow them around, will act as a sort of high lookout, and the hornbill benefits from their disturbing of insects and whatnot as they move through the grass. Well done, David.